Welcome everyone, thanks for joining. It is Andrew here for Apple Insider. We've seen a lot of MFI accessories that are approved for use with iPhone and iPad, but very few have taken it as far as the One Smart Keyboard. We are going to take a look at the One Smart Keyboard Pro, which is an 88 key piano that is designed to work with the iPad as well as a few Android tablets. The model that we got to test is definitely on the large size, but it is more of a piano that's able to grow with you. So it starts off more as a beginner, and then as you grow, you have a more professional piano that you can still continue to use. Whereas had you picked up the One Smart Keyboard Lite, that's a little bit more of a beginner level piano. It's going to be cheaper, it's going to be a 61 key rather than this full-sized 88. There's a few other concessions that you have to make with that cheaper level keyboard. So this one is going to be more of a full range keyboard that's going to really be great for beginners and still excel well for pros. The way this connects to your devices is through a USB cable. It has a USB-B on one side and then one of three connections on the other. There is still a 30 pin, so if you are still rocking an old iPad, maybe you want to use it completely for sheet music, you can still use that here. Otherwise, there is a micro USB cable, so you can use that one for Android tablets. And then lastly, which is the one that we are primarily going to be used, we're only going to be using it, that would be the lightning cable. Now, because it does use somewhat of a special cable with USB-B on one side and lightning on the other, it's going to be fairly difficult to replace this if it ever were to be damaged. On the back of the piano, you have that USB port to plug in whatever connection you're going to be using, a sustain spot if you have a pedal to plug in, aux out, as well as the power. So the power supply obviously is included, and plugging everything in to get going literally takes a few seconds. This thing comes out of the box, sits down, peel off the plastic, plug in the cables, and you're pretty much good to go. You can literally be up and running in less than 5 minutes. As we were setting this up, we noticed how quite hefty this piano was. Like, it is a really quite heavy machine, which is definitely good, and probably those huge powerful speakers that are built in right on top. Compared to a lot of the other keyboards that we've seen, this thing is a beast. It is definitely pumping out a lot more sound and feels a lot more premium than other ones that we've taken a look at. So hitting a few other hardware highlights. So obviously your iPad is going to go right here on top, or your other tablet. It's going to plug in really easily to a round back. Not only is it going to power the app, connect the keyboard, but it is also going to charge your iPad at the same time. You may notice also how sparsely covered this keyboard is. There's no controls anywhere except for one single knob and a power button on the left hand side. Now, it actually is a kind of multi-controller, that knob. You can rotate it around to adjust the volume, or you can press on it to actually change the instruments. So if you don't have your iPad with you, you just have normal sheet music, that's perfectly fine. You can still alternate instruments, change the volume, turn it on and off, no problems at all. On the far left-hand side, right in front, are two spots where you can plug in headphones, so you don't need to actually be playing this on those huge, large, powerful speakers. You can just put on a pair of headphones and play that way. So inside of the app, there's a few different settings that you can kind of optimize for your piano. A couple that are really nice include the Bluetooth settings, the My Recordings, your purchase music, your favorites that you've saved, and the sound settings. So this is really what you're going to get into if you really want to get into the more pro-level stuff. Really kind of get fun. You can actually change the volume levels on split sides of the keyboard, put in different voices if you want. You can actually jump between all these. It's really, really nice. Of course, you don't have to just have grand piano like many keyboards that are out there. You can switch it up with different types of instruments. So as you're recording songs, you can record the different parts all here on the keyboard and mix them together after the fact. We're not going to bother going through all the different instruments here, but in total you have about 128 different instruments that you can choose from when playing on the One Smart Keyboard. Here I'm going to be playing some music, and you can actually see the music following along, both right hand and left hand. So as I'm hitting those notes, it's moving across the music. So no more having to move sheet music, switching different pages or anything, even on your tablet. It really follows along. And if you need to work on one hand over the other, maybe just nail a riff on your right hand, you can turn off the left only and just work solely on the right. A few other things, there's recording built in, so you can actually just do a standard recording of the piano itself, or you can do an audio recording of maybe yourself singing along with the audio. You can tap on that light button, which will turn on the lights on the keys, or turn them off rather. There's the up button, take you just to the top of the music, take it to the top, and a few other things you can do in the app that are really, really handy. Really what makes this keyboard amazing is the different categories. So the first category we looked at, which was the sheet music. You also have something called crash course. So you can go in and get these crash courses on different chords, on different songs, a few things like that. There's also a robust video library where you can go in and get a lot more training. And all of this here, all of these right here at least, are free. There's also a huge selection of games, and the games are pretty cool, and it makes it a lot more fun to learn the piano. So just having to deal with drills the whole time, I can practice Yankee Doodle with something that looks more like DDR. Compared to the way that I was taught to play piano years and years and years ago, this seems like a whole lot more fun, engaging, and creative way of learning. Since we are looking at a more professional piano, a more professional keyboard, we need to talk about the keys themselves. They're going to be very important in how this thing actually plays. So first thing first, the audio quality from the keys that we're getting. The grand piano sound is pretty amazing for a keyboard like this. I was very, very happy with it. It has a 10-layer acoustic sample of the grand piano, and it does really show compared to cheaper keyboards that we've looked at. The keys themselves are also very nicely weighted. They are hammer action keys, so they're kind of replicating the actual hammer effect that you'd have on a real grand piano. Now, while these do sound great, they are weighted hammer action keys. Perfect. They are not graded. So on a real piano, you're going to notice that the low end has a little bit more weight to them compared on the high end. There's not that progressive grading here in the weight. They're just going to be all the same, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it is a difference between some of the most high-end keyboards that you'll find out there. The one also supports 128 note maximum polyphony, which means you can play 128 keys at the same time and they'll still all be recognized. So now let's do a quick audio sample. Please do not judge me on my playing. Please do not judge me from these poor audio recording. It can sound much, much fuller, better, louder in real life, but just to give you a small, tiny idea. So that wraps up our review of the One Smart Keyboard Pro. This 88 key portable piano is going to be amazing for not only beginners, but professionals as well. It's a great keyboard to grow into that you can start on, as well as to start to play more professionally if that's the route that you choose to go down. If you have any questions at all, let us know down in the comments, and make sure to check it out at the link below in the description.